Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Greta and I mostly talk about niche fragrances, occasionally other luxury lifestyle items. If you are a current subscriber, thank you. I appreciate you so much. I also love chatting with you all down in the comment sections. You guys are my friends. And yeah, so today I have kind of a fun video. I've been introducing all these new fragrances that I've been finding, and I have some more gems that I cannot wait to tell you about. Whoo-wee. But I wanted to pop this one in here midweek just because, I don't know, I just felt like a fun one. So I wanted to do what I thought was the top, I'm not going to say top 10, but I'm going to say the top or most popular first niche fragrances. Now, and you know, I don't really disagree with this list in these decisions, and I'm going to explain them one by one. I'm going to get there. And it's funny because years ago when I first got into niche, I didn't even really know what niche was. I just knew it was fragrances, and as I got deeper in the rabbit hole, I understood designer versus designer privé and niche fragrances, and it was just fragrances to me that I stumbled across and really got into. So when you ask me my first niche, I kind of have to think a little bit about it. I'm not entirely sure, but it's definitely on this list. I'll tell you that much, because these were some of my first ones as well. So if that's something that you are interested in, stay tuned for that. Okay, let me do the first one here. And it's so popular. And I think this may have been this might have been my first niche as well. And it is by Parfums de Marly de Lina. I think a lot of people heard Demi talk about this. Also, this is sold in department stores, so it's easier to come across. You're going to find it in Nordstrom's, which you can't necessarily say about a lot of niche fragrances. There's very few niche lines that are carried in the department stores. Obviously, I mean, if you have a Selfridges or Harrods by you, you're going to be exposed to a lot more, but that's just certain people in certain cities. You know, I live in a major city, one of the top 10 cities in the country, and I mean, now, you know, there are the new luxury malls here that have really expanded, and there's really a lot of perfume boutiques in there now, but that wasn't the case years ago. So anyway, de Lina, which to me, I sprayed this at Nordstrom's, sprayed it on my hand. I will never forget this, and thought, that can't be right. That can't be right. It was so astringent on me. It was tart, not in a good way. And I thought, is that right? No way, no way. And I left the mall really kind of demoralized. Like, I must have this wrong. Like, this has been so hyped up. How could that be? Fast forward a few months, tried it again on one hand, de Lina exclusive on the other hand, and the whole ride home was just, I was obsessed with smelling my hands. Like, this is amazing. And I couldn't remember which was which. Thank you to an amazing SA that told me, yeah, it's the exclusive that you're in love with. But I had already bought this. I mean, I bought this anyway, and then quickly on its heels bought this one. And so much happier with the de Lina exclusive. So I'm going to say, yeah, the de Lina is great, but I think I'm not unique finding it to be very astringent with that rhubarb note in here. And then it's more of an amber, you know, very like airy kind of rose, sweet tart. Not like in an apricot way, which I really love sweet tart, or like in gummies sweet tart. I enjoy that. This was more astringent tart. Really love this one, which doesn't have the rhubarb in it, opens with much sweeter, like pear kind of sweet opening, and then it has oud in the base with the vanilla that gives it much more richness and this powdered sugar rose kind of smell that I just fell head over heels for. So my suggestion might be to try and look at some of the flankers to de Lina first. You might like the exclusive or the rosé better. But I do think this is a great start, especially since it's right in the department stores and they're very mass appealing. Next up, that I think is the most popular first niche fragrance, is Baccarat Rouge 540 by Maison Francis Kurkdjian, either the EDP or the Extrait. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I was completely mesmerized by this too. I heard nothing but this on social media years ago and was like, I need to get my nose on that. Like, and I found myself scouring social media, trying to find more and more reviews for it. Be like, what does that smell like? Had to get in the car, drive to Neiman Marcus and be like, let me smell these. Let me smell these. Of course, she's trying to show me all the other ones and all the freshies. And I'm like, no. What is this BR 540 everyone's talking about? And of course, she's like, yes, everybody loves it. Finally got to smell it and was like, okay. All right. I kind of like it. And I did buy a decant online first for it and was like, okay, I get it. And then I did buy this from MFK online at their shop. Yeah, it is an icon. I did like the Extrait better first. I do think everyone has this. There's also 1,000 dupes out there now. But there is something to knowing this fragrance at least, having a decant at least. There's something to it. It's a classic. Like Chanel No. 5, you just have to know what it smells like. You just have to know what this smells like. And I don't mean a clone. You really need to smell the original. I see people with reviews on like Fragrantica and stuff, and they're like, well, I never smelled the original, but I smelled this. And people say Cloud is just like it, so I'm gonna compare this one to Cloud. And it's like, no, you gotta smell the original, okay? You gotta smell the original and then you can compare, because otherwise you're really comparing to the other fragrance. But that's just my personal opinion. But yeah, you should definitely get your nose on them at least. So Baccarat Rouge 540, and I don't disagree with this. The next fragrance is kind of funny because this is another niche house, because that is all they do, perfumery, and it's Kilian. Now Kilian you're gonna find in Sephora. So it's again a really natural kind of segue into this perfume house, because again, it's super accessible. So I think a lot of people would go for this collection, which I just have to laugh because I absolutely hate this packaging. I held off on buying this. I had the travel atomizer, which was normal packaging, and I was cool with it. When I heard they were discontinuing this, I got a little FOMO, I panicked, and I thought, okay, let me grab a bottle really quick. Little did I know, it was another one of those games with words. Sure, they were discontinuing this, but they were discontinuing this hideous packaging. They were putting it into traditional Kilian packaging, which I much prefer. Much. I can't tell you how annoying this is on my shelves. So, and it's this thing, and I never know the front, the back, the anything. It's just this little like dynamite ball, you know, this bowling ball, cue ball, it's the 8 ball here. I don't know, I hate it. And it goes on this stand. But anyway, this one you can find in Sephora, and it's a gorgeous orange blossom vanilla fragrance. Amazing. So it's a natural segue to then go to Love Don't Be Shy. And of course, the whole Riri thing, Riri wears Love Don't Be Shy, gotta get my nose on it. So again, marketing and accessibility, it was a natural first niche to try. This is actually the extreme. I have the original in different packaging and bunch of decants, so natural. And I'm gonna say, again, great first niche. It's extremely popular. It's extremely mass appealing, easy to love. I mean, who doesn't like being in this cloud of marshmallow, orange marshmallow kind of fragrance? It's so easy to fall in love with this one. If you want something different, not what everyone else has, because there's also 7 Ways to Sunday versions of this. There's the Rolling in Love, if you want a little bit of a different fragrance, which I think I actually got before the Love Don't Be Shy. It's a little bit more of like an almond. This one just kind of gets rid of that whole orange marshmallow kind of thing, and it's more of this creamy, musky vanilla with a little bit of almond in there, sort of some powderiness, a little bit more floral. It's sweet and intoxicating. This one is phenomenal, not quite as thick a cloud as the Love Don't Be Shy. This one is so amazing. Rolling in Love is just so sweet and sultry. I love this one, and it's a great alternative also for the Love Don't Be Shy. Next up is also super popular, is Mancera Mental. I'm gonna say Mancera Roses Vanille. Mental, let's go Intense Café. I don't have, I only have in Travel Advisor. Super popular, also very affordable. You can find them in the malls, you can find them online, and you can also get them for like under $100 at perfume discounters. But they're a great natural progression because they're so affordable as niche. And Roses Vanille, super easy to love. I mean, it's rose, vanilla. Imagine a super fog of sugar and roses. That's really like a musky fog of sugared roses. Like, it's phenomenal. I absolutely love this one. I'm not as big a fan of the houses in general because they tend to have, they're a little harsh and almost synthetic kind of smelling, and I'm used to so many natural perfume oils now, but I do still have my favorites in this house, and this is one of them that I won't get rid of. I get hankerings for this still. It's just so easy to love, super mass appealing again, and another really easy progression to go into Montal and Mancera. They're sister companies. They tend to have a perfume in each house that smells nearly identical to each other. It's the most fascinating phenomenon. I don't understand why they do that. I'm sure they have their reasons. I'm not their business manager. I'm sure they have their reasons. But it is funny that they have one that smells like the other and even similar names. But I like the Roses Vanille by Mancera. Speaking of sister companies, once you get to know Parfums de Marly, you realize they have a sister company called Initio Parfums, which is newer. Initio's only been out a few years. Maybe 3? 3 years? 4 years? They're fairly new. So the big one people went for was Atomic Rose, because the word was, it's Delina grown up. I don't know if I agree with that, to be honest. But I can see, you know, because it's a rose fragrance, people want to say that. This one has a lot of jasmine in it with the rose, and there's this citrusy top. That citrusy top with the florals almost reminds me more of like Sensual Instinct by Montal. And it has this ambery vanilla base that is just phenomenal. But there is that rose and the vanilla, again, a common theme when you're new to niche. And it has hedione in it. Now, the whole thing with, you know, Initio loves using overdoses of hedione because it is found scientifically that an overdose of hedione has an addictive quality to it, where it hammers in the pleasure sensor in your brain of, I like this and I want more of this. So you as the user get this addiction to it, as well as those around you smelling you. It kind of makes you alluring. So that's really heavy played in the Initio Parfums. A lot of hedione. To me, I find myself exhausted after wearing Initio for a while. Like, if I stop, it's like if I'd been like drinking coffee, so much coffee for days and just stimulated, and then you just crash. And I feel like I crash after wearing these for a long period of time, like if I wear them for a week in a row. But this one is great. It's got that harsh jasmine in it. I think even more so, I like High Frequency. High Frequency has a hint of almond in it, giving it that sweetness, has a creamy white magnolia in it, which I just find a little more soothing than that rose, jasmine, and hedione. This does have hedione in it too, as well, which I believe comes from primarily jasmine. But it's this overdose of the hedione along with a creamy white magnolia and almond, and it's just so much smoother and prettier and not quite as sharp as Atomic Rose. It's just so pretty. But then again, it does start to get this addictive kind of quality to it. I really, really like high frequency in it, and I really like it better than Atomic Rose. I find it so much easier to wear. Or Psychedelic Love. I really like that much more. Psychedelic Love and high frequency. Really, really, truly love these. But anyway, Initio Parfums. Now that you've gone through these malls and you've discovered some of these fragrances, there is another perfume house that you can find in the malls. Not every mall, but you can find this in a lot of department stores as well, which again makes it one of those very popular first niche fragrances. And I really think that matters when you can find it in like Neiman Marcus, Selfridges and Harrods, but those two stores have so many. And I really don't know the other like Canadian department stores and UK department store names. I just don't know them, sorry. But Tizian Terenzi and Kurkdjian is super popular because it's a very fruity fragrance. We like our fruity fragrances. Let's just admit it. We love them. And this is still a favorite of mine. I will always love the opening of this fragrance because it is this burst of amazing fruits. This raspberry and passion fruit and peach and just, I love the fruitiness of this opening. It's so captivating. And you will still get wafts of it later, but it does dry down a little different. It dries down to this amazing, like creamy sandalwood, musky vanilla, this vanilla musk woody kind of base with a little bit of fluffy heliotrope. I just absolutely love this one. It's not really one of my first niches at all, but certainly one of the first houses of niche that I dove into and checked out. Definitely not my first niche fragrances at all. But when I really wanted to start investigating houses as a whole, this was one of the houses I jumped into, Kurkdjian. Once you jump down that rabbit hole, you realize Kurkdjian's like what? Like Erba Pura Xerjoff. So now you need to go research Xerjoff, which in Europe you'll find that very prevalently in Europe, especially Italy, but not really in the States or Canada. This isn't around as much. And I personally don't see this in any department stores or malls. For me, this meant going online to go grab, and I was okay with that. You hear, oh, Kurkdjian's just like Erba Pura. I disagree with that. They open identically, and yes, they are both amazing fruity fragrances with this woody vanilla musk base, but they dry down so differently. This one is a little more ambery and animalic, whereas that is just a little like fruity and then fluffy and a little bit of this vanilla musky base there. But you really have to do a side-by-side and do the dry down because they open identical, it's true, but they definitely dry down very differently. They kind of go in different directions. I, about a year ago, did that side-by-side. This one also opens citrusy and those fruit notes, whereas the Kurkdjian opens these fruits and then the fruits give way to more floral. There's definitely a little bit more floral in the Kurkdjian than in the Erba Pura. But they are both amazing, and and this is a beast too. This is a beast. Kurkdjian lasts, but this is a beast. This is very popular. There's also a lot of dupes of this, which makes, I think there's a lot of pro to dupes. Dupes make people aware of fragrances that would otherwise be out of financial reach to them, and something they wouldn't otherwise be exposed to. But like you can get Casablanca for like $20. I think that's Al Haramain or Swiss Arabian, Casablanca, beautiful. But there's so many dupes of this for like $20 that you're exposed to it. And now you know Xerjoff Erba Pura. Now you know. I mean, who doesn't now strive to have the real thing, right? It's like, oh, well before you could afford the Chanel purse, you knew the Chanel type of look, right? You knew the leather weaved through the gold chain. You knew that look, you knew that emblem, and you might have had things that were inspired by that look, maybe as a teenager when you couldn't afford it. But there's something to that, and liking a certain look, being inspired by it, and then be aspiring to have the original. So I think there's something good about dupes, just increasing that accessibility and awareness to it. So that's just my opinion. But moving on, now that you've tried this, you've broken the seal to Xerjoff, one of the best houses to start diving into. And one of them people dive into, if you didn't go that avenue and you're like, oh, let me try Xerjoff, they go for Lira in the Casa Marly line. Now, the Casa Marly collection is a lot more affordable, definitely mass appealing, easy to jump into, you know, other than some of those other collections, which I just love the entire house. It's just an amazing house. But the Casa Marly is really kind of eases you into it. It's like your gateway drug to Xerjoff. And Xerjoff is just one of the easiest houses to love. But Lira is more like lemon cake and caramel. It's an amazing gourmand fragrance. It's so delicious. Okay, it opens a little citrusy. You start getting hints of that vanilla, and it opens more fresh, and then as it dries down, gets more gourmand, and you will smell like a snack, a very mass appealing snack. It has a base of this caramel vanilla musk. Xerjoff has a very intoxicating kind of vanilla musk. I mean, it's inebriating the way it is. It's very addictive, very sultry, very easy to love. And then this has additionally this like lemon cake caramel kind of thing going on here. You get that caramel sweetness that just makes you feel like a snack. The lavender in here, there's a little bit, it kind of just gives that calming kind of vibe to this really delicious snack to it. But again, Lira is so easy to love. It's such a great first fragrance. I can't disagree with it. I think I might like Bouquet Ideale better over this, unless you're really into gourmands and just discovering them and you really want a gourmand, go with Lira. But I think I like Bouquet Ideale a little better. It just has this spice, like mulling spice, kind of fall spices to this beautiful vanilla musk kind of fluffy vibe around you. And I just think it's a little prettier, a little easier to wear. It's just, I don't know, but it's there. You can't really go wrong. Okay, so now that you've been doing some online shopping for niche, I think one of the other earlier fragrances that people go for is Nishane, and they tend to go for Ani. Now, Ani, I did not get along with when I first got this one. I was like, what is everyone talking about? And I wore too much. I wore it in the heat. I wore it outside. It was summer. It was not a smart move. This is an intense fragrance, and I got this like herbally kind of thing from it, and I just wasn't digging it. And I thought, gosh, why is this so popular? I like it now. But there is that herbal kind of thing going on here. There is that medicinal herbal thing. Almost like if you walked into like an Eastern medicine kind of shop. And that's really what I wasn't liking about it. As it dries down, you get more of this like ginger, vanilla, tuberose kind of fragrance. But I gotta tell you, a way smarter move is 100 Silent Ways. Way smarter move, really easy to love. This is like tuberose and whipped cream. So much more mass appealing. I love this one way more. I mean, I still struggle a little with Ani. Like, I don't think Ani is as easy to wear as some people might want you to think, and by the popularity of it. I think a lot of people just jump on bandwagons. But I gotta tell you, 100 Silent Ways, which is 100 Silent Ways to say I love you, is what that means. Way easier, softer, beautiful. This is a really creamy, sweet, feminine, gorgeous fragrance. Men wear this too. They tend to layer it with something and it smells delicious on them as well. But I think, man, what a great, great first niche fragrance, because this one is not taxing in any way. It's not testing you. You don't need to know oud. You don't need to like leathers. You don't need to like anything crazy intense. Nishane 100 silent ways, 100%. Last up, I have another house that I do believe you need to go online for. I shop from them directly. And again, you probably heard of them because of watching videos or Instagram or something like that. And you discovered M.Micaleff. Also, I think Demi, you know, I got to give a lot of credit to Demi because she has that larger audience. She was one of the first larger female perfume channels that took off. So she has the ear of a lot of people, and she discovered the Ylang Gold, and it's a beautiful Ylang. Now I know she loves Ylang as a flower. Like, that is one of her favorite flowers. It just reminds her of vacations, living in an area where that was a novelty. I live in San Diego. It's not a novelty to me, and it doesn't remind me of vacations so much because it's really where I live. But it is beautiful. But Ylang Gold, so it has this touch of tropical flair. It's Ylang, a touch of coconut. It's got some sweetness to it. Super easy to love. Definitely that French style that rides a little closer to you, maybe a little more whimsical in the air. I'm gonna say also, or even better, is the note Vanille, which who doesn't like a bomb-tastic kind of vanilla fragrance? And that's Note Vanille. It's just a classic, intense vanilla that you really can't not like. Oh, it's a rich vanilla that has this amberiness to it. So it definitely has some weight to it, some body to it. It's so good. It's almost like it's a bourbon vanilla in here. Like, there's different varieties of vanilla I'm learning. This strikes me as like a bourbon vanilla, which really has that rich ambery kind of vanilla with this boozy kind of ness to it. But it's not like there's booze in this to me. But there's this booziness to the type of vanilla. And then there's also the floral notes in here, which keep it from being just vanilla, like a vanilla candle, or just too pedestrian. It really is a beautiful, beautiful vanilla. One of my favorites. And a great, great way to get into niche. There's also a little bit of woodiness to this. I personally like woody vanillas. So it's got the little bit of levity of the floral, giving it a little bit of life. And then there is the woodiness to the vanilla and this amberiness. And it's just a delicious, delicious vanilla. And I will take this over Kayali Vanilla 28 any day and Sunday. Like, I'm telling you, I just never really got the whole Kayali vanilla thing. This one, yes, this is my vanilla by M.Micaleff. So that is my roundup of the cliche first niche fragrances that I don't necessarily disagree with. I think there's great reasons to kind of segue into these fragrances, and I don't disagree with trying these first. I think it's a great start. I did offer a few alternatives to it, but let me know. Let me know if you remember what your first niche was. Mine was, I think, Delina. It might have been Baccarat Rouge. I'm not sure. They were all in the mall there while I was exploring around the same time. So, and I did just kind of dive into niche fragrances. So anyway, that is my roundup. If you like this, give it a big thumbs up and hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one. Mwah.